Okay, Dale Little here with I'm the president and founder of Rescue America Ministries, and you're looking at a video that I made 2020 during the COVID virus. I have a special request that I want to make right now, and get this turned around here. This video, I'm making it especially for President Donald Trump. You say, are you crazy? Well, I've been accused of that a few times, so hey, what's nothing new. I did that video in 2020 though, and at that time I thought I had a very bad cold. It turned out it was COVID-19. Took me 5 weeks to get over it. And I document that in the video. But in that video, I was very burdened about the condition our country was in, not just the COVID virus, but the spiritual condition. And I viewed COVID as just God's wake-up call, not only to America, but to the world. I was burdened and wanted, this was on March the 11th, I believe, when I made this video. And Mr. President, I hope that this will get to you somehow. I don't think my other video ever got to you, but I do think that God answered a prayer that I prayed in that video, and that was that I knew, and you can see my humble settings here. This is by no means a professional studio setup, and I used one iPad to take the video, look the video on in the other iPad, a cracked screen and all. But this is the point. At that time, on March 11th, 2020, I knew that only a handful of people would probably see that video. I think to this day, 36 people have viewed it. I asked God to lay it on somebody's heart to call for the same thing that I was calling for, and that was that every church in America would pray, have a special time of prayer on that coming Sunday for our nation. I asked him that he would show somebody else and put it on somebody else's heart to make that call that had much more influence than I did. Mr. President, the next day you made that call. I'm not going to be arrogant enough to say that that was answered entirely just from my prayers. There may have been 100 other people praying the same prayer. Who knows? But I know I was. And so I don't see it as an extreme, an impossibility that, you could see this video. I'm greatly concerned, and I could pull a video up of what I'm speaking of, but I won't. And I'm asking my friends also to help with this. If you agree with me, then I hope that you'll like and share this video as many people as you can on your Facebook or however that I'm going to share it to. That somehow it'd have a better chance of coming up in front of the president somehow, I don't know how. God only knows. But my concern is, and I meant to look up the official title, I have a great concern with Paula White, and I have nothing personal against Paula White. I try not to bring up people's names, but there's no way to avoid this. At that 2020 election, as is pretty much becoming evident, Mr. Trump, that President Trump, that you were not going to be in the White House come January, the end of January. She was a total disgrace, I think, to Christianity, and I think to you, by standing and making those things that she supposedly was getting from God, and they were totally false. Saying that God was sending an army of angels to ensure that you remained in the White House for the next 4 years. Oh, she said, I see these things. You know, God's sending these things and declaring and not praying that they would, but no, God is sending them. I see it happening. And it didn't. You know that. And why you would put someone like that into an office as, for lack of a better word, as a spiritual advisor to White House, I don't know. But I cannot tell you. I would not be about to tell you what to do. That would be ridiculous. But Mr. President, I can tell you what I think you should do and what I feel like God is saying that you should do. And that is, she does not belong on those grounds, making some of the statements she made that were totally false, and arrogant claims that, that because her feet touched those grounds, it was holy ground. Oh my goodness, nonsense. You can do better than that. Mr. President, I think a great mistake you made was not distancing yourself during that election from a group that you've been accused of being very close with, was the Q movement, or QAnon. I spoke out greatly against that group and the things that they stood for, because within that movement were some truths, maybe 10% of it, but 90% of it was lies. And some of it was blasphemy. They even had one video that showed you and I think JFK or JFK Jr., somebody walking off into the sunset, like you were in setting up the millennial kingdom that Jesus Christ will come and set up one day. Blasphemy. You should have distanced yourself from then. You may have, maybe God would have seen fit to see you continue in 2020 if you had done that. And I think you need to distance yourself from this woman that's made these false proclamations, false claims. It was a total embarrassment to the Christianity. Now, I'm going to ask again, as I said a while ago, I'm asking my friends if you will share this video, if you agree with me. If you saw that video, you know what I'm talking about. I didn't choose to bring it back up. You can look it up and look up Paula White's disastrous, I don't know what you call it, to bring the video up, prophecies about the 2020 election. Maybe it'll come up that way. It was, and it is still an embarrassment. I would have been embarrassed to even want to continue in that capacity if I had been her and made those outrageous claims that turned out to be totally false. She's no prophet. She's no prophet. And she doesn't know Jesus Christ as well as you may think she does. Now, Many of you don't agree with me, I know. That's okay. I'll just say this. You have the right to be wrong just as much as I have the right to be right. And I'm convinced that I am. So, Mr. President, I hope you'll consider this if this gets to you, and I pray that it does, before this next election. Whoever's running and during the midterms, it's going to make a great difference. Whether God favors you and can let you continue with support these next couple of years, and how it would affect the next election, whoever runs then. It'd be a disaster to see, after all your success, to see all this fold up after a couple of years, because God has not been glorified in the proper way. I know you give him credit. Don't get me wrong. I know you have. But you need to get to the place that you can be in tune with God as much as anybody else. And you can be. You're a smart man. You all your accusers that laughed at your things that you've said and things you were doing, and your chances of becoming president even. God put them to shame. And you have outsmarted all of them with God's help. All these people that thought they were the elite, they weren't a match for Donald Trump. But that's because, in much respect, that God has backed you because of the American people, because of this nation that he's built up. And you know that. So, I'll leave it at that. I used to go on with anything else. But just as this video that you saw there to start, check it out. You'll see when that was made. And Mr. President, you know that the next day you made that proclamation to call for every church in America to pray. And I hope that you'll get this. If not this video, at least maybe God will speak to you of what you need to do in this situation. And but like I say, for my friends, I hope that you will share this if you agree with me, if you know what I'm talking about, if you saw that disastrous thing that Paula White did, and the proclamation she made on national TV. Disgraceful. That's all I can say about it. Dale Little, Rescue America Ministries.